Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, February 23rd, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. First up, we have more on the Google Helpful Content Update, so stay tuned for that. There was a deal with Reddit and Google, which is kind of funny. We'll get into that also. Product variant structure data was released by Google Search. Google Ad News, Bing Search News, and search volume might go down in 2026, so we'll see. Any event, thanks so much for sponsoring Duda. Duda is the professional website builder you can call your own. Thank you, Duda, for sponsoring. I deeply appreciate it. Also, next week on February 29th, I'll be doing this pause live event, so definitely check that out. It's from Anton Shook, so thank you for doing that, and I'll be doing some type of charity event to help support some things in Ukraine, so definitely check it out. Okay, so first up, a week ago or so we posted, or 2 weeks ago now, we posted about the recovery time to go ahead and recover from a Google Helpful Content Update. So the last Helpful Content Update was pretty drastic. It was the Helpful Content Update that Google said would happen when it initially launched, but it didn't happen until a few Helpful Content Updates later. And now Google's been talking more about Helpful Content Updates because people are not recovering. And it's been since September again, and several months, I think it's 5+ months since that happened, and nobody really has recovered. So Danny Sullivan, like we said last time, basically said our documentation says it takes several months for Google to trust that your content is really helpful. You can't just change it overnight. It will recover overnight. Even though the classifier is constantly running in real time, it doesn't mean that you'll recover overnight. That being said, a niche blogger, Morgan Overholt, basically was at an event and said, hey, Google's Danny Sullivan said at the event it would take 2 weeks to recover from a Helpful Content Update. I'm like, so I got the recording. He did say, Danny Sullivan said within a couple of weeks, he didn't say exactly 2 weeks, he said within a couple of weeks, it's possible to recover. Now, I think he misspoke. Danny Sullivan went ahead and chimed in about that. He's like, technically it might be possible if you change the content right when the classifier is running and to make everything helpful. But generally, he basically said, again, going back to the documentation, it says, he should have said several months, not several weeks, not within a couple of weeks, and so forth. So anyway, it goes back to saying, you know what, while technically it might be possible to recover within a couple weeks, it's not. It's going to take several months. So again, even if you think it might take a few weeks or a couple weeks or several weeks, it's going to probably take you several months to recover. And again, we haven't really seen any sites really recover from this last Helpful Content Update. John Mueller said that when it comes to old content, you decide what is helpful and what's not. He said this on Reddit. Basically, somebody's asking, I want to remove content that might be unhelpful. I have all this old content. It's really outdated. Should I go ahead and remove it? And John Mueller's like, well, not necessarily. Some old content is really good. I wouldn't just remove old content just because it's old. You should decide what's helpful or not. And everybody's like, Google, just tell me what's helpful. And everybody wants Google to tell them what's helpful, but Google's not going to tell you what's helpful. So it's really up to you. Danny Sullivan responded to complaints from basically a website called HouseFresh, which basically posted saying how Google is killing independent sites like ours. And it goes on to show how large sites are outranking all the smaller sites just because they're large. And you should really read the article. It's pretty good. And Danny Sullivan responded basically saying that we don't want to have an algorithm that just rewards large sites. We want to reward even smaller sites, we want to reward the best content, no matter if it's on a small site or a large site. So everybody's kind of like thinking, yeah, right, Google's ranking Reddit for everything. And the funny thing is, this is something that happened over a decade ago when Matt Cutts, this has been going on forever, the small sites versus large sites, SEO debate. This is going on forever since Google started, I believe since at least 2003 from when I was covering Google. And then Matt Cutts in 2013, over a decade ago, also he wrote a poll and asking people to fill out a form. Matt Cutts was the former Google search spam cop, or whatever you want to call him. He basically was the face of Google for SEOs for a long time before he retired from Google. And he basically posted a form in 2013 saying a small website survey asking other small websites that you think should rank that aren't. And that form is actually still open. I don't think anybody has access to it. Any event, what's funny is the article I wrote on Search Engine Land titled article complaining about being outranked by Google was ranking for the title of the HouseFresh article. And I read it before. I was writing an article about how Reddit was outranking that original article for that title as well. So now you have Search Engine Land and Reddit, which are, well, Search Engine Land is a small site, but it's been around for a while. Reddit is a large site that really doesn't have great content. It has a lot of content. So keep that in mind. Again, it's just somewhat of an oxymoron, or kind of funny, I guess, if you want to call it that, where you have this site complaining that it's a really nice piece of content that's complaining about how Google's only ranking large sites, and then you have Reddit outranking it for its own title and so forth. Of course, other people are seeing it not outrank and so forth. Google will get it right eventually, maybe, but it's just interesting to see that. And then last night, or yesterday, on Thursday, Google announced and confirmed that it's paying Reddit, I think the reports are $60 million annually to access Reddit content via the Reddit Data API, which gives them faster and more structured data access to the Reddit content. Although Google could access that content anyway through public crawling, Google's paying for it now. And then right after that, and it's funny because like I'm shocked Google announced that. Why would they pay Reddit right now at this time where everybody's complaining about Reddit ranking for everything? And it's not just SEOs complaining, it's major websites complaining that Reddit's ranking for everything, and the content on Reddit is not always that great. That being said, there is a deal, $60 million per year for Google to access that content in more real time through a structured data API. Google's not going to be paying you or me for our content, but it will pay Reddit for that content. And shortly after that, Reddit went ahead and filed for their IPO last night, which is pretty interesting. On to the more search news, Google announced new structured data called product variant structured data. Product variant structured data is a way for you to systematically and structurally tell Google, we have this product, it comes in blue, green, this size, that size, these variants, and so forth. Or maybe you have a computer device that comes with this amount of RAM and this amount of hard drive space and so forth. It's a new structured data format that lets you go ahead and tell Google that you have these variants. It has 3 property types: has variant, varies by, and product group ID. So definitely take a look at that. If you have an e-commerce site, this might work very, very well for those product variants. It's one of those things that that SEO's been struggling with forever about how to handle product variants. And maybe this will help going forward, or maybe Google will try it out for a while and then deprecate it because it doesn't work well. Google's John Mueller said that sites that have generally used the Google indexing API wrongfully, like they used it Google indexing API is a way to submit content to Google faster, specifically only supports jobs and live events. Now, if you use it for other things, Google says it just doesn't work and it's not according to their guidelines. And John Mueller said, often the sites that are trying to use this, we don't care if they use it because it's not going to work, but if they try to use it, these sites are usually generally spammy and low quality. So that's what he said around people using the Google indexing API wrongfully. There is a bug with Google Shopping where if you try to use a negative keyword, like an exclusion keyword, like a negative, whatever you don't want, let's say you're searching for something and you don't want to exclude a certain type of keyword, that bug will not work in the Google Shopping tab. Google has confirmed it. Not sure how long it's been going on, but it seems like this has gone on for a while, and it's not fixed yet. Google's Shop with AI seems to be rolling out live for everybody, at least in the US. I'm not sure if it's live for everybody else. I think you don't even have to be opt-in to SGE to see it. And it basically lets you say, all right, generate images using Shop with AI. You type in a keyword, and then it shows you some images. You can then variant that keyword. Like I typed in, I don't know, blue pineapple dress or something. You click on generate images, and then it will show you some examples of it making a dress like that. You click on that image that you like, and then it will find images from Google Shopping that match that image, which is pretty cool. And it seems to be live. And it's purely AI, which is pretty cool. Google Merchant Center has updated their estimated times for delivery calculations. So now that's starting, I think, in April 9th, where Google's going to start look at the minimum and the maximum handling time attributes for processing the time in your product data for shopping and free listings. So keep that in mind. Your delivery times may change on April 9th based on those new metrics. Google Merchant Center also will start requiring you to label AI-generated images that you have in Merchant Center as AI-generated in the actual metadata. They want you to basically say, if you're using AI-generated images for your Merchant Center listings, products, and so forth, that you should go ahead and make sure to have that in the metadata, which is good to see Google starting to do that. And I wish there was like one global tag that you could use that Google will say, this is what we should do going forward. Google has rolled out ad strength formulas, new weights, after going ahead and saying that for PMAX, the AI-generated assets feature for generating images and so forth, for generating assets, for generating headlines, for generating your ads, is now rolling out globally to all U.S. advertisers in English, and it's going to start rolling out to all advertisers in the future really soon. Google had a bunch of announcements yesterday around Google Ads, and PMAX, and AI. And with that, Google said, because we're doing that, we are going to head and adjust the ad strength formula to weigh assets more like the variety of assets and the quantity of assets more heavily. So they want you to really use assets in your things and that will be applied to your ad strengths going forward. Talking about Google Ads now is pushing you to hire a console, to get a free console from the Google ad reps directly in Gmail. This is spotted by Anthony Higman and Rob. So this is pretty scary. I'm not sure why they're showing this there. I don't see it myself, but I don't have a Google Ads account hooked up to my Gmail account. So just keep that in mind. Google Ads has a new policy where they're prohibiting the use of using famous people or famous brands to entice people to either give up money or to give up information through Google Ads. This is starting in March. It's a new policy. It's part of the misrepresentation policy, and it's unacceptable. And it will start being enforced starting in March at some point. Google Ads has released version 16 of the API. So if you're using the Google Ads API, the version 16 is out. You should definitely take a look at that. It's pretty cool. Google Search is testing a new search bar design. Here's a screenshot of that. I personally do see it here and there. It depends on incognito or not. I spotted this via Thomas Excel, and Adrian Decker also posted about this, and I'm able to replicate this. It's on and off. Again, Google's constantly testing, so take a look at that. Google's also testing showing the forums in the actual search bar, so you can actually filter just to show forums like Reddit. Of course, that doesn't mean that it's going to not show Reddit in the main search results, but it's going to you can actually filter just to show that. That was spotted by Shaheem. Nice find there. Google is also testing fading the text of the search results in as you scroll. So as you scroll through the search results, it will start as gray and then fade in to be a darker color as you scroll. This is spotted by Brody Clark. Google was testing this back in I think in November as well, and now they're testing it again, which is not surprising. Did you know that Bing has sub-sitelinks and expandable sitelinks in the actual search results? So if you do a search for something in Bing and sitelinks come up, Bing's not just going to show you sitelinks, one level, they might show you 2 levels or more. This was also spotted by Shaheem. Nice find. Talking about Bing is also testing a new footer option where they actually have the option to go to next page as opposed to clicking on page 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and also another refresh button to refresh the search results to see a fresher set of search results. This is spotted by Frank Satman and Shaheem as well, so nice find there. And it looks like Google's testing local packs for restaurants that actually show prices, not just like dollar signs. Usually it shows $1, $2, or $3. $3 are actually the most expensive, but actually Google's showing the actual price ranges for a meal at that restaurant. That was spotted by Koshul. Nice find there. And finally, Gartner is predicting that by 2026, so in a couple of years, that search volume will decrease by about 25%. That was their prediction. So I asked SEOs in a poll, what do you think? And only 20% think that search volume will not decrease at all. Now, it obviously depends on how you define search volume. Search and AI search is becoming really blended. Just keep that in mind, but maybe SEO is going to be dead by 25%. And I asked John Mueller that, and John Mueller basically gave the speech of SEOs are great at change, and of course, SEOs are great at change, and SEOs will adapt. So please start adapting because by 2026, search will be changing and volume will be down, according to Gartner. Again, that's Gartner prediction. That's what it is. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. This is the search news we covered over the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Everyone have a great, safe, and healthy weekend. And thanks again to Duda for sponsoring. Deeply appreciate it. Bye-bye.